Welcome back to Firepower. Before we jump in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because what you're about to hear could reshape the Second Amendment for an entire generation. This isn't just another policy update or a random bill floating around Congress. This is the closest America has ever come to having a single, unified concealed carry rule across all 50 states. And depending on how you travel, where you work, or even what highway you drive on, this could be the difference between staying free or becoming a felon just by crossing an invisible line you didn't even know existed. Right now, America is a patchwork of gun laws stitched together with contradictions. One state says you're fully legal. The next says you're a criminal. 1 mile east, you're protected by the Constitution. 10 feet west, you're facing handcuffs in a courtroom. It has been this way for decades, and countless responsible gun owners have been trapped by these invisible borders. But in November, something happened that started to crack the system open. A bill known as H.R. 38. The Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act passed the House Judiciary Committee with an 18-9 vote. For the first time in years, Congress is seriously considering forcing all 50 states to honor each other's concealed carry permits just like they honor driver's licenses. And if it becomes law, the entire legal playing field changes overnight. To understand why H.R. 38 is such a big deal, imagine driving from your hometown into the next state over. You've taken the same gun safety classes, you passed the same background check. You're carrying legally, safely, and responsibly. But the moment your tires cross that border, your permit becomes worthless. That has already happened to thousands of people. One of the most heartbreaking examples was Shanine Allen, a young mother from Pennsylvania who legally carried a firearm for protection. She crossed into New Jersey, told the officer during a traffic stop that she had a licensed firearm, and instead of being thanked for her honesty, she was arrested and charged with a felony. Her life was almost destroyed because she didn't understand how drastically the laws change from one state to another. H.R. 38 was designed to prevent that from ever happening again. But Shanine wasn't alone. Truck drivers face this nightmare constantly. A driver licensed to carry in Texas or Georgia suddenly becomes a criminal when they cross into Minnesota or Illinois on their delivery route. These aren't dangerous people. These aren't criminals. These are fathers, mothers, and workers who legally carry in their home states but are punished simply for going to work. H.R. 38 is a direct response to these real human cases. The people who got caught in a legal web that no ordinary citizen could ever fully understand. Now here's where the November twist comes in. H.R. 38 doesn't just say states must honor other states' permits. It goes much further. Under H.R. 38, if a gun owner is detained, arrested, or charged in a state where they should be legally protected under reciprocity, that state can be held liable. They could owe damages. They could have to pay your attorney fees. They could be forced to justify the arrest in court. This flips the power dynamic. For decades, the burden of proof was on the citizen. The gun owner had to explain why they were carrying, why the permit was valid, why the law should protect them. But under H.R. 38, that burden shifts to the state. Now the government has to prove you were in the wrong, not the other way around. This is a monumental shift in how Second Amendment rights are treated across the map. And this sudden momentum behind H.R. 38 didn't happen in isolation. Former President Donald Trump publicly backed national reciprocity, adding political firepower behind the bill. On top of that, the current Supreme Court, shaped by additions like Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, has created a historically strong pro-Second Amendment majority. After the Bruin decision, which established that gun regulations must align with historical tradition, the legal foundation for national carry has never been stronger. Bruin essentially said that states cannot require citizens to surrender their rights when they cross borders. H.R. 38 directly builds on that idea. Your rights travel with you. So how would H.R. 38 actually work in practice? It's simple. If you are legally allowed to carry in your home state, you would be legally allowed to carry in every other state, with only a few narrow exceptions for federal buildings or sensitive locations. 1 permit, 50 states. No more pulling up state-by-state statute charts. No more spending hours online trying to figure out whether your permit is valid in Kentucky but invalid in Illinois, or valid in Florida but illegal in New York. H.R. 38 creates a unified standard. You carry legally at home, you carry legally everywhere. Imagine taking a road trip through 5 states without fear of misreading a statute. Imagine a single mom not having to choose between protection and prosecution. Imagine a truck driver knowing that the laws won't suddenly flip because he crossed a bridge. That's the America H.R. 38 proposes. But not everyone is celebrating. The moment H.R. 38 moved forward, some states went into full panic mode. California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, the usual suspects, instantly launched political countermeasures. They know H.R. 38 would erase their strict permit regimes and undermine the billions of dollars they generate from mandatory courses, licensing fees, renewals, and administrative hoops. Some states have already begun drafting safety certification laws designed to replace their permit system with a new structure that technically isn't a permit, but functions exactly like one. Others are planning to challenge H.R. 38 in court the moment it passes, arguing that states have the right to set their own standards for public carry. And still others are exploring ways to delay permit verification systems long enough to make enforcement impossible. H.R. 38 has triggered a legal and political arms race across the country. But here's the part the opposition doesn't want to talk about. Every major study shows that concealed carry permit holders are one of the most law-abiding groups in the United States, even more law-abiding than the general police population in some states. In Texas, permit holders account for only a fraction of a percent of criminal violators. In Florida, decades of data show the same trend. These are people who follow the rules, respect the process, and take personal protection seriously. The argument that more permit holders in my state means more danger simply isn't supported by reality. H.R. 38 protects the people who are already proven to be responsible. Now let's zoom out and imagine the country if H.R. 38 becomes law. The first thing that changes is mobility. For millions of Americans, traveling becomes predictable and safe. No more hidden traps, no more borderline felonies. The second change is legal clarity. Instead of every state inventing its own system, the rules become understandable nationwide. And the third change is accountability. States can no longer abuse their own convoluted permitting systems to exploit residents and visitors. If they try, they risk lawsuits and financial penalties. But what happens if H.R. 38 fails? That's a question we have to confront honestly. If H.R. 38 dies in Congress, the states most hostile to concealed carry will tighten regulations even further. They'll raise fees. They'll increase training requirements. They'll shorten permit durations. They'll restrict reciprocity even more aggressively. Supporters of strict gun control will see H.R. 38's failure as a green light to push harder. And the patchwork map of America will become even more fragmented, even more dangerous legally, and even more difficult for everyday people to navigate. The stakes are not small. This is not just about whether your permit works in another state. This is about whether constitutional rights are consistent nationwide or whether they are dependent on your zip code. So now, we have a choice. H.R. 38 represents one future. A future where Americans can travel, work, and protect themselves without falling into legal traps. The other future is the one we live in now. A maze of contradictory laws that punish the innocent and protect no one. As this moves through Congress, the battle will get louder, uglier, and more intense. Media outlets will spin it. Politicians will weaponize it. Lawsuits will multiply. But behind all the noise, the truth remains simple. A right that stops at a state border is not a right at all. If you believe your rights should travel with you, drop a comment below and tell me your state. If you think H.R. 38 is overdue, hit the like button so YouTube pushes this video to more people who need to understand what's coming. And if you want updates as H.R. 38 moves through Congress, subscribe right now, because we will cover every hearing, every vote, every amendment, and every court challenge. The fight isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. Stay sharp, stay informed, and as always, this is Firepower, signing off.